Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to do a review of the latest episode of Star Wars Andor. It was called The Eye. And as it begins, we see Vedic and Cassini having a little chat about their impending situation, which is that they're about to begin the heist, and how the excitement of it is about to kick in and make them forget that they didn't really sleep and are a little tired. Elsewhere on the planet, an Imperial commandant talks to his underlings, including Gorn, about how they've subjugated and manipulated the native population of the planet that he oversees, the planet where the heist is happening, to keep them compliant. Meanwhile, the guys from the team pose as guards overseeing the pilgrims that were talked about a couple of episodes ago, who are on their way to the celestial event that was also talked about a couple of episodes ago, called The Eye, where they join up with Gorn and the commandant and his family, who are participating in an opening ritual at the site of the Eye, as the ladies from the team hide in a rock formation before swimming underwater towards their target, where they plant a comms scrambler, after which Vel gives the last go-ahead to carry out the mission. The guys then accompany Gorn and the commander and his family to the base, at which point the guys go in, leaving Gorn behind, just before they're joined by the girls who enter from the ceiling, before taking the commandant's family hostage and forcing him to help them carry out the heist. One guard outside the base ends up overhearing some of the team's communications, even though their own communications are scrambled, and he becomes aware of what's happening. He then sends a squad of TIE fighter pilots to their fighters so they can stop the escape, as the crew move the loot out with the help of soldiers who had been guarding the vault that they've got at gunpoint. A corporal and one other soldier show up and confront the team. The commandant seems to have a heart attack and die, and a firefight takes out one of the team members, Barcona. And during the escape, Nemec gets crushed by a loose pallet of the money, as the transport flees the scene right in the middle of a crazy celestial event with TIE fighters in pursuit. TIE fighters fortunately don't last long against the objects that are creating the Eye, and the team gets away. They detour from the original intended post-heist destination to see a four-armed doctor to try to save Vedic, even though Vel doesn't want to. While Vedic is being worked on, Skeen tries to tempt Cassini to fly the ship away with him and split the money. And it turns out that he never had a brother with a pepper tree orchard. So Cassini kills him, for treachery. And then, after Vedic doesn't make it, Cassini tells Vel he's taking his tiny cut and leaving with the doctor's little ship, offering to pay for it, and giving Vel the buyer's kyber crystal to give back to him. At which point, she gives him Vedic's manifesto because Vedic wanted Cassini to have it if something happened to him. At the Imperial base where the Imperial officer lady works, she and her co-workers meet to discuss their response to the heist, and Mon Mothma gives a speech in the Senate, which is interrupted by news of the heist. Just before the episode ends, we see the buyer, Luthen, in his shop being asked by a patron if he has anything from Aldhani, and telling him there was a big attack there last night, at which point Luthen goes into the back saying he's looking for something for the guy, but then stops and laughs a knowing laugh. And that's where the episode ends. So I don't think anybody can say that this episode was boring, because it certainly wasn't. It was very tense because the entirety of the episode pretty much is the heist, moment to moment with the heist. And so it was both action-packed and tense. Are they going to be able to pull it off? Are any of them going to die or get caught? And the whole time the heist was going on, the scenes of the heist were intercut with scenes of the indigenous people celebrating the event, the Eye. And it was cool because as the heist was ramping up in intensity, the celestial event was ramping up in intensity. And it just was cool because as the event is ramping up in intensity, they were, chanting and sort of dancing and stuff around a fire or moving about around a fire. And it just sort of added to the excitement of what was happening on the heist. And then once they pulled off the heist and they're escaping in the shuttle or whatever it was, they're flying right through the crazy celestial event with all these like colorful, I don't know if they were pieces of stars or comet fragments or whatever that are streaming in the atmosphere over the planet. And visually, it was just stunning. And you get to see all the TIE fighters that are trying to pursue the transport get hit and taken out by these objects, whatever they are. And it was just wild. I also thought it was cool that, they showed Skeen trying to make off with the proceeds and split them with Cassini, whom he needed to pilot the craft, leaving Vel and Vedic, who he didn't know had died yet, in the lurch. Because in a heist situation, there's always somebody who double crosses everybody. And I don't know, I guess you could argue that it's de rigueur and kind of derivative, but in this case, there was no indication that that was going to happen, because usually you can kind of tell somebody's going to betray the team, or the group, but you couldn't really tell. I didn't see that coming. So I thought it was cool that they wrote that in there. And then that Cassini just kills him, just outright kills him, which, what else was he going to do? The guy was obviously treacherous. So I thought it was a good episode. I liked that they got the payroll away from the Empire. It's a big blow to the Empire, so that was cool. And I'm looking forward to where it's going to go now, because Cassini has Vedic's manifesto, and what's he going to think of it when he reads it, and how is it going to affect him, mentally and psychologically? What direction, if any, is it going to send him in? What is the Empire going to do to retaliate? How is that going to affect Cassini? Is he going to interact with Luthen again, or is that over? There are just a lot of possibilities, and it'll be cool to see where it goes next. Someone said this after the first 3 episodes, and I didn't know that it was necessarily true, but I think now that it is. This story, this season, is being told in like 3 episode blocks, it seems. Every 3 episodes is going to be like a self-contained story within the larger story of Cassini's journey. So the first 3 episodes took place, on the planet where he was living, and these next 3 took place surrounding the heist. So my guess is that the next 3 will be yet another self-contained story of some kind. So it'll be cool to see what that is. We're only halfway through the season. This is a relatively long season for a streaming show. It's 12 episodes. That's like unheard of these days. You get 6, you get 8, sometimes 10. This is 12, so that's pretty cool. We're only halfway through the season, and I'm still loving this show. But that's really it. It was just the heist, and I think they did a really good job with it. And I'm gonna get out of here. I'll be back to, of course, review episode 7 once it's released. Before I go, I want to remind everyone that I have a Teespring store. You can get t-shirts there that have different designs on them. One of them is a channel logo. Also, I'd like to ask everyone to please give the video a like, and hey, make a comment. Tell me what you think. I love seeing the comments. I try to respond to all of them. In fact, I do respond to all of them at this point, and it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, please do all that stuff. It would really help me out. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.